Dr. Zexhai pressed his 4 fingers against the cool metal console and watched the readings change on his screen. The numbers made no sense. After 30 years of studying how stars were born, he had never seen anything like this. The gas cloud, floating in space before his ship, should have been normal. It should have been just another future star waiting to be born in a few million years. But the readings told a different story. The Centauri scientist's large eyes blinked slowly as he checked the instruments again. His ship, the Harmony of Stars, drifted silently through the dark space of the Outer Rim territories. This was supposed to be a routine mission. Find gas clouds, study how they collapse, write reports. Simple work that helped the Galactic Council understand how the universe made new stars. But PSB 7429 was not cooperating with his expectations. His assistant, Dr. Yexmar, floated over to his station. The young Centauri's skin had a nervous blue tint to it. "Sir, the gravity readings are impossible," she said in their musical language. "The cloud is too dense in some places and too light in others. It's like something is holding parts of it in specific patterns." Zexhai nodded his elongated head. He had noticed the same thing. Gas clouds should collapse evenly toward their center, pulled by their own gravity. But this one had areas that seemed to resist collapse and others that pulled matter in ways that defied physics. "Run the deep scan probes," he ordered. "I want to know what's inside that cloud." The probes launched from the ship with barely a whisper. Each one was packed with sensors that could see through gas and dust to reveal what lay hidden inside. As they disappeared into the massive cloud, Zexhai felt a strange tension in his chest. Something was wrong here, and his scientist's instincts were screaming warnings at him. Hours passed as the probes worked their way deeper into the cloud. The first results came back normal. Hydrogen gas, some helium, traces of heavier elements. Standard materials for star formation. But as the probes pushed deeper, the readings became stranger. There were pockets of organized matter, structures, that seemed to have geometric shapes and electromagnetic signatures that had no business existing in a natural gas cloud. "Sir," Yexmar's voice was barely a whisper. "You need to see this." The main screen filled with an image that made Zexhai's blood run cold. Buried deep in the heart of the gas cloud, arranged in perfect mathematical patterns, were structures. Massive structures made of metal and other materials that clearly showed intelligent design. They were ancient, covered in gas and dust, but unmistakably artificial. "How big are they?" Zexhai asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Yexmar's fingers danced over her controls. "The largest structure is approximately 50 kilometers long. The entire complex covers an area larger than most space stations. Sir, who could have built this? And why hide it inside a forming star?" Zexhai had no answers. He ordered the probes to take detailed scans of the structures, while he sent an emergency message to the Galactic Council. This discovery was too important to handle alone. As the hours passed and more data came in, the mystery only deepened. The structures were covered in markings that looked like writing, but in no language in the galactic databases. However, the mathematical symbols carved into their surfaces were universal. Whoever built these things understood physics, chemistry, and engineering at a level that matched or even exceeded the combined knowledge of all galactic civilizations. But the most disturbing discovery came when they tried to date the structures. The metal showed signs of age that suggested they had been built approximately 12,000 years ago. That was long before most current galactic civilizations had even discovered fire, let alone space travel. Dr. Kethmos, the ship's xenorchaeologist, studied the images with growing excitement. His people, the Vorthek, were known throughout the galaxy for their ability to understand ancient civilizations. His 4 arms moved rapidly as he compared the structures to known architectural styles. in his databases. These proportions, he muttered to himself, these geometric preferences, the way they organize space and matter. His large compound eyes suddenly widened. Dr. HFY, I need to see the recent intelligence reports about the species called humans. HFY was confused, but ordered the files brought up. Humans were a young species from a system called Sol. They had recently achieved faster-than-light travel and were known to be expanding slowly into nearby systems. The Galactic Council had been monitoring their radio transmissions for decades. Trying to decide when to make official contact, Kethmos studied the human data with growing certainty. The mathematical signatures match, he announced. The metallurgical composition of their ships, the geometric patterns they use in their architecture, even their preference for certain proportional relationships. These structures were built by humans. The bridge fell silent. Yexmar was the first to speak. But sir, that's impossible. 12,000 years ago, human civilization was primitive. According to our records, they were still using stone tools and had not even discovered agriculture. Unless, Kethmos said slowly, these are not the same humans. Perhaps this is evidence of an earlier human civilization, one that rose to incredible heights before falling into the primitive state we observe today. HFY felt a chill run through his body. The implications were staggering. If humans had once possessed technology advanced enough to build stellar-scale engineering projects, what had happened to them? How had they fallen so far? And most importantly, were they beginning to remember their lost capabilities? He ordered the probes to continue their detailed scans while he prepared a comprehensive report for the Galactic Council. This discovery would change everything the galaxy thought it knew about human capabilities and history. As he worked, HFY couldn't shake the feeling that they had stumbled onto something much larger and more dangerous than a simple archaeological find. The structures in the gas cloud were not just ancient ruins. They were a message, a warning, or perhaps a weapon waiting to be discovered. And if humans had built them once, there was nothing stopping them from building them again. The young species that the galaxy had dismissed as primitive might be the most dangerous civilization in the known universe. As the harmony of stars continued its scans, HFY began to understand that this discovery would mark the beginning of a new age in galactic history, an age where humanity would no longer be underestimated by anyone. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never seen such an emergency session. Representatives from 12 major civilizations sat in their specialized chairs, each designed for their unique biology. The air hummed with translation devices, working overtime as dozens of languages filled the space with urgent whispers and heated debates. That High Chancellor Mexthora of the Andromedan Union called for order. Her crystalline form caught the light from the chamber's energy sources and cast rainbow patterns across the walls. We are here to discuss the discovery made by Dr. HFY of the Century Scientific Collective. The evidence presented suggests that humans may possess capabilities far beyond our current understanding. Commander Vextar of the Altarian Defense Fleet stood up from his seat. His warrior race had been monitoring the galaxy's borders for centuries, and his people took threats very seriously. His scarred face showed deep skepticism as he spoke. High Chancellor, with respect, this theory makes no sense. My fleet has been watching human space for decades. We intercept their communications daily. These humans can barely travel between their own planets without mechanical failures. The Altarian's voice grew stronger as he continued. They have achieved faster-than-light travel, yes, but their ships are primitive. They use chemical rockets to escape their planet's surface. Their weapons are based on simple kinetic energy. They show no signs of the advanced physics required to build structures inside forming stars. Dr. Yulseth, the Council's chief historian, floated forward in her environmental suit. The ancient being species had been keeping records of galactic history for over 50,000 years. Her voice was soft, but carried the weight of accumulated knowledge. Commander Vextar raises valid points, but we must consider alternative explanations. Perhaps these structures were not built by the humans we observe today. She activated a holographic display that showed the timeline of known galactic civilizations. Throughout history, we have seen species rise to great heights before falling into darkness. The Zephyrian Empire once controlled 3 entire star systems before their civilization collapsed from internal conflicts. The Nexus builders created artificial worlds before they mysteriously vanished. It is possible that humans experienced a similar cycle. The representative from the Corvani Trade Federation, a being that looked like a living tree with multiple eye stalks, swayed thoughtfully. If humans once possessed advanced technology, what caused their fall? And more importantly, are they beginning to recover their lost knowledge? This question sent a wave of unease through the assembly. The implications were clear to everyone present. If humans were rediscovering their ancient capabilities, the balance of power in the galaxy could shift dramatically. Chancellor Mexthora raised one of her crystalline appendages for silence. The Council must have more information before we can make any decisions. I propose we authorize a covert mission to human space. We need to understand their true capabilities and learn more about their history. Commander Vextar immediately objected. A military reconnaissance mission would be more appropriate. If humans are hiding advanced technology, we need to know about it for security reasons. No, Dr. Yilseth interjected gently. A military approach could provoke them unnecessarily. If they truly possess hidden capabilities, we don't want to appear threatening. I suggest a scientific mission disguised as a peaceful first contact attempt. The debate continued for hours. Some representatives wanted immediate military action to neutralize any potential threat. Others argued for complete isolation until humans revealed their true nature. Finally, a compromise was reached. The Council would authorize a small research mission to make contact with humans under the cover of routine first contact protocols. A team would offer humanity membership in the galactic community while secretly gathering intelligence about their history and capabilities. Dr. Zex High was chosen to lead the mission, since he had made the original discovery. His expertise in stellar physics would be valuable if they encountered more evidence of advanced human technology. Dr. Nex Hari, a linguistic specialist from the Korth Collective, would handle communication and attempt to learn more about human languages and culture. Lieutenant Kexalon of the Altarian Defense Fleet was assigned as military liaison. Despite Commander Vextar's protests about using a scientific approach, the Council insisted on having military expertise available. Kexalon was young for an Altarian, but had experience with first contact situations. The team was given access to the Silent Observer, a small research vessel designed for long-range missions. The ship was equipped with advanced sensors and stealth capabilities, allowing it to approach human space without being detected until they chose to reveal themselves. As the mission team prepared for departure, they studied everything known about human civilization. The intelligence reports painted a picture of a young species that had recently discovered they were not alone in the universe. Humans had detected alien radio signals and were actively searching for extraterrestrial life, but they had not yet made contact with any galactic civilizations. Human society appeared to be divided into multiple nations and political entities, but they had managed to cooperate on several space exploration projects. Their technology was advancing rapidly, and some of their theoretical physics showed remarkable insight into the fundamental nature of reality. Dr. Nex Hari was particularly interested in human mathematics and science. Their understanding of quantum mechanics is surprisingly sophisticated, she noted during a briefing. For a species that only recently achieved space flight, They show remarkable intuitive grasp of complex physical principles. Lieutenant Kexelon remained skeptical. Intelligence can be misleading, he warned. My people have encountered species that appeared primitive but possessed hidden capabilities. We must be prepared for anything. The silent observer departed from the council station 3 days after the emergency session. As they traveled toward the Sol system, each team member wondered what they would find. Were humans truly the primitive species they appeared to be, or were they the descendants of an ancient civilization that had once commanded stellar engineering technology? Dr. Zex spent the journey reviewing the scans of the structures hidden in the gas cloud. The more he studied them, the more convinced he became that they held secrets that could change everything the galaxy thought it knew about reality itself. Soon, they would have the chance to ask the questions that had been earning in his mind since the discovery. The answers they found might reshape the future of galactic civilization forever. The silent observer dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system in early 2387. Dr. Zex watched the sensor displays with fascination as human space traffic became visible on their screens. Ships moved between planets in organized patterns, following established trade routes and patrol schedules. The technology was primitive by galactic standards, but the coordination showed impressive organizational skills. Lieutenant Kexelon studied the tactical displays with professional interest. Their defense grid is basic, but well planned, he admitted. Multiple layers of sensor stations and patrol vessels. They may be primitive, but they're not careless. Dr. Nexhari was already working on intercepting human communications. The radio? Chatter between ships revealed a complex society with multiple languages, but English seemed to be the common tongue for space operations. Their linguistic patterns are fascinating, she noted. Very flexible grammar structure and extensive vocabulary. This species adapts their communication tools quickly. The silent observer approached Earth slowly, broadcasting standard first contact protocols on multiple frequencies. Within hours, they received a response from the Earth Defense Force. The message was cautious but professional, requesting information about their intentions and origin. Dr. Zex composed their reply carefully. They identified themselves as representatives of the Galactic Council, a peaceful organization dedicated to bringing new species into the cosmic community. They requested permission to establish diplomatic contact and offered to share knowledge and technology. The human response surprised them with its efficiency. Within 6 hours, they were contacted by Captain Jake Murphy of the EDF cruiser New Horizon. The human's voice was steady and confident as he introduced himself and offered to serve as their escort to Earth. Welcome to human space, Murphy said over the communication link. We've been wondering when we'd meet our neighbors. I'm authorized to guide you to Earth orbit, where our diplomatic team is waiting. Captain Murphy's ship was exactly what the intelligence reports had suggested: functional but primitive technology, held together by human engineering skill and determination. The New Horizon was less than half the size of the silent observer, but it moved with purpose and precision. During the journey to Earth, Murphy maintained professional courtesy while clearly assessing their capabilities. Kexelon appreciated the human's tactical awareness. He's evaluating us just as carefully as we're studying him, the Altarian noted privately. Earth appeared on their screens as a blue and green world teeming with life. Orbital stations surrounded the planet like a protective shell, and ships moved constantly between the surface and space. The humans had built an impressive infrastructure for such a young spacefaring civilization. Dr. Lisa Carter led the human diplomatic team that greeted them at the main orbital station. She was a xenobiologist who had spent years preparing for this moment, and her excitement was barely contained as she welcomed the first alien visitors to human space. This is incredible, she said as she toured them through the station. "We've been searching for evidence of extraterrestrial life for centuries. To learn that there's an entire galactic community out there is beyond our wildest dreams." The humans proudly displayed their achievements during the initial meetings. Dr. Carter showed them the terraforming projects on Mars, where human engineers were slowly transforming the red planet into a second Earth. She explained their deep space colonies and their recent breakthrough in quantum communications that allowed instant messaging across vast distances. The alien team was impressed despite themselves. Human technology might be primitive, but their application of scientific principles was remarkably creative. They had achieved things that other species had needed much more advanced technology to accomplish. But it was Dr. Alex Rodriguez, a human archaeologist, who provided the information that changed everything. During a casual conversation about human history, he mentioned something that made all three aliens pay close attention. "Of course, human history is full of mysteries," Rodriguez said as he shared images of ancient ruins on Earth. "We have evidence of civilizations that achieved remarkable things long before recorded history began. Most scholars dismiss the old legends as mythology, but some archaeological evidence suggests our ancestors were capable of incredible feats." Dr. Nexhari leaned forward with interest. "What kind of legends?" Rodriguez activated a holographic display showing ancient sites from around Earth. Stories of ancestors who could move mountains and touch the stars. Legends speak of great builders who created impossible structures and traveled between worlds. Most academics think these are just stories, but we keep finding evidence that doesn't fit conventional theories about human development. The alien team exchanged meaningful glances. Zexhai asked carefully, "What kind of evidence?" "Megalithic structures that required engineering knowledge we supposedly didn't possess." Rodriguez explained enthusiastically. "Astronomical alignments that show detailed knowledge of celestial mechanics. Chemical compositions in ancient metals that suggest advanced metallurgy. There are even cave paintings that some researchers think might show spacecraft or advanced technology." Dr. Carter nodded in agreement. Alex is being modest. "Some of the archaeological evidence is genuinely puzzling. We found artifacts that seem to indicate our ancestors had scientific knowledge that was somehow lost over time." Rodriguez continued with growing excitement. "The most persistent legends speak of ancestors who wielded the power of suns themselves. They supposedly built great works that lasted beyond the ages and possessed wisdom that connected all things in the universe. Most people dismiss these as primitive creation myths, but what if they were actually historical records?" Lieutenant Kexalon felt a chill run through his body. The humans were describing exactly the kind of capabilities that would be required to build stellar engineering projects like the structures they had discovered. "These legends," Zexhai asked carefully, "do they explain what happened to these advanced ancestors?" Rodriguez's expression grew somber. "That's the tragic part of the stories. All the legends speak of a great catastrophe that forced humanity to start over from nothing. Some cosmic disaster that reset our entire civilization and left us struggling to survive. The details vary between cultures, but the theme is consistent. We once stood among the stars, but something forced us back to crawling in the dirt." Dr. Nexhari realized the implications immediately. If human legends contained accurate historical information, then the structures in the gas cloud weren't from an unknown ancient civilization. They were from humanity's own lost golden age, built by humans who had achieved technological mastery before some great catastrophe destroyed their civilization. The question now was whether current humanity was beginning to rediscover their lost heritage, and what that meant for the rest of the galaxy. Dr. Zexhai couldn't sleep during the return journey to the discovery site. The human legends troubled him deeply, but something else nagged at his scientific mind. The dating of the structures had bothered him from the beginning, and now he wondered if they had made a fundamental error in their analysis dock back at PSB 7429. He ordered new scans with different equipment. This time, instead of focusing on the metal composition, he examined the space around the structures themselves. What he found changed everything he thought he understood about time and physics, that the structures existed inside a temporal distortion field. The space around them was aging at a different rate than normal spacetime. What appeared to be 12,000 years of aging might actually represent a much shorter or longer period, depending on the nature of the temporal effects. Lieutenant Kexelon joined him at the sensor station. "You look like someone who just discovered his entire understanding of reality was wrong," the Altarian said with dark humor. "Because that's exactly what happened," Isexai replied. He showed Kexelon the new readings. "These structures aren't ancient. They're from the future, human future." The implications hit both of them simultaneously. If the structures were built by future humans, then the current primitive state of human civilization was temporary. Somewhere in their timeline, humans would achieve technology that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. Dr. Nexhari received the news with fascination rather than fear. "This explains the legends," she said excitedly. Human oral traditions preserved memories of their future, achievements passed down through generations as stories about their glorious past. Meanwhile, on Earth's orbital station, Dr. Carter was having her own revelations. Her natural curiosity as a scientist had led her to explore the alien ship during their visit. While the aliens had been careful to restrict access to sensitive areas, Carter's expertise in xenobiology had given her insights into their technology, hidden in the ship's computer systems. She had found detailed scans of an artificial structure buried inside a gas cloud. The architectural patterns were unmistakable to someone who had spent years studying human engineering preferences. They matched theoretical designs from humanity's most advanced physics laboratories, designs that wouldn't be completed for another century. The discovery troubled her deeply. Why were the aliens so interested in what appeared to be human technology? And why hadn't they mentioned finding these structures during their diplomatic meetings? Carter shared her concerns with Captain Murphy and Dr. Rodriguez. Murphy's military training immediately identified the potential threat. "They're not here for simple first contact," he concluded. "They found something that made them afraid of us, and now they're gathering intelligence." The confrontation came during what was supposed to be a routine diplomatic meeting in Earth's main orbital conference room. Commander Vextar had arrived from the Galactic Council fleet, and his presence changed the entire dynamic of the negotiations. The Altarian commander was not skilled at diplomacy. His warrior nature demanded direct answers to direct questions. "Humans," he said bluntly, "we know you possess advanced technology that you have not revealed. Our scans show evidence of engineering capabilities far beyond what you have demonstrated. Why are you hiding your true abilities?" Captain Murphy stood slowly from his chair. His hand didn't move toward his weapon, but his posture made it clear he was ready for trouble. "Commander, I don't know what you're talking about. We've been completely honest about our capabilities. Have you?" Vextar's voice carried the threat of barely controlled aggression. "Then explain how your species built structures inside forming stars using technology that exceeds anything known to galactic science." The human delegation looked genuinely confused, which only made Vextar more suspicious. In his experience, species that played innocent usually had the most to hide. Dr. Carter stepped forward with the truth that had been burning inside her since her discovery. "We're not hiding anything from you," she said firmly. "We don't have that technology yet, but apparently we will. Those structures you found aren't from our past. They're from our future." The silence that followed was deafening. Dr. Zexhai felt a mixture of relief and terror as the human Scientist unknowingly confirmed his own conclusions. Dr. Nexhari asked, a question that had been troubling all of them. If your future selves built those structures, where are they now? Why haven't they made contact with their own past? Dr. Rodriguez provided the answer that chilled everyone in the room. His archaeological training had taught him to recognize patterns of civilization collapse, and the evidence was clear in humanity's legends and folklore. Because something happened to them. Something so catastrophic that they had to hide there. Greatest achievement in a place where it would never be found by accident. He activated a holographic display showing the orbital mechanics of the gas cloud. Think about it. Inside a forming star, protected by temporal shields, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. They didn't just hide technology there. They hid a message. Captain Murphy realized the military implications immediately. A message about what? What could be so dangerous that beings with stellar engineering capabilities would need to hide warnings in the past? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yilsafi's voice echoed through the communication system as she joined the meeting remotely from the Galactic Council chambers. Because they discovered they weren't the first civilization to face this threat. Throughout galactic history, advanced species have built similar hidden repositories before disappearing completely. The ancient historian's words carried the weight of 50,000 years of accumulated knowledge. We have always assumed these species simply died out from natural causes or internal conflicts. But what if something was systematically eliminating them? Something that required future humans to send a warning back through time itself? The meeting room fell silent as the full scope of the situation became clear. Humanity's future selves hadn't just achieved incredible technology. They had faced an enemy so dangerous that their only hope was to reach backward through time to change the outcome of a war that hadn't been fought yet. Dr. Carter looked around the room at the faces of humans and aliens alike, all struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what they had discovered. The question now is whether we're brave enough to find out what that message says. Commander Vextar's hand moved to his weapon instinctively, but not in threat toward the humans. For the first time in his military career, he was facing an enemy that operated outside the normal rules of war and physics. An enemy that could erase civilizations from existence so completely that only hidden time capsules preserved evidence they had ever lived. The combined human-alien fleet approached PSB 7429 with a mixture of determination and fear. Captain Murphy commanded the human task force, while Commander Vextar led the Galactic Council ships. Despite their recent conflicts, both sides understood that whatever lay hidden in the gas cloud threatened everyone equally. Dr. Carter worked alongside Dr. Zex High in the main laboratory ship, their species differences forgotten in the face of scientific discovery. The temporal distortions around the structures were far more complex than anyone had imagined. Layers of time moved at different speeds, creating a maze that protected something incredibly important at its center. The encryption is beyond anything we've ever encountered, Carter said as she studied the readings. It's not just hiding information. It's hiding it across multiple timelines simultaneously. Lieutenant Kexelon monitored the tactical displays, while the scientists worked. Whatever built this wanted to make sure only the right people could access it at the right time, he noted. The question is whether we're the right people. Dr. Rodriguez had joined the expedition specifically to help decode any historical or cultural references they might encounter. His expertise in human legends proved crucial as they discovered that the temporal locks responded to specific mathematical sequences that appeared in ancient human mythology. The golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, prime number series, he explained excitedly. These numbers appear in human art and architecture throughout our history. Our future selves used our own cultural DNA as the key. Working together, the combined team managed to penetrate the outer layers of the temporal encryption. Each breakthrough revealed new levels of protection, but also new clues about what lay at the center. The technology was clearly human in origin, but it incorporated principles of physics that even the most advanced galactic civilizations didn't understand. Dr. Nexhari made the final breakthrough when she realized the encryption wasn't just mathematical. It required emotional and cultural understanding of humanity to unlock completely. The builders wanted to ensure that only beings who truly understood human nature could access this information. She explained, the central chamber materialized around them as the last temporal barriers fell away. The space was vast, filled with technology that seemed to bend reality itself. But at its heart was something simple and profoundly human, a holographic recording left by people who looked remarkably similar to the current human delegation. Commander Helen Stone appeared in the hologram, her uniform bearing insignia that suggested a military rank far beyond anything in current human forces. Her face carried the weight of terrible knowledge as she began to speak. If you're receiving this message, then the timeline has stabilized enough for discovery. My name is Commander Helen Stone of the 51st Century Human Defense Corps, and we are facing an enemy that exists outside normal space-time. They are entities that consume civilizations by erasing them from history itself. The hologram continued with clinical precision that couldn't hide the desperation behind the words. We call them the Time Eaters. They don't just destroy species. They remove all evidence that those species ever existed. Entire galactic civilizations vanish as if they never were, leaving only empty space where thriving worlds once stood. Dr. Zexhai felt his understanding of the universe crumble as Stone described encounters with an enemy that operated beyond the laws of physics he had spent his life studying. Every species they consume has tried to leave warnings for the next cycle of galactic civilization. But the warnings always arrive too late because the Time Eaters erase the messengers along with their victims. The recording showed images of vast empty regions of space where galactic databases insisted nothing had ever existed. But gravitational anomalies suggested massive civilizations had once thrived. The cycle has repeated countless times. Rise, flourish, discover the Time Eaters, get erased, and start over with a clean slate. Commander Stone's expression hardened with human determination. But humanity discovered something unique about our species. We exist simultaneously across multiple temporal states. This makes us partially immune to temporal erasure. We can remember what was erased. We can fight back. Captain Murphy leaned forward, recognizing something familiar in the future commander's bearing. She's military, he said quietly. She understands what it means to hold the line when everything seems hopeless. The hologram continued with technical details that made Dr. Carter's head spin. Future humans had developed technology that could anchor civilizations to multiple timelines simultaneously, making them harder for the Time Eaters to completely remove from existence. But the process required incredible energy and coordination across entire galactic communities. The repository contains the tools you'll need, Stone explained, but using them will accelerate the timeline. The enemy will notice and arrive sooner. Humanity must choose. Remain safely primitive and let the cycle continue, or accept the burden of defending not just this reality, but all possible realities. The final part of the message was both invitation and warning. Every species has the choice when they discover us. Most choose to forget and live in ignorance until the end comes. But some choose to remember and fight. The tools here can anchor your civilizations to existence itself, but the cost is becoming a target for enemies that span all of time and space. Commander Stone's image began to fade as the message concluded. The Time Eaters feed on complexity and advancement. They are drawn to civilizations that achieve temporal manipulation or stellar engineering. By accessing this message, you have already attracted their attention. The war for existence itself is about to begin. The hologram disappeared, leaving the combined human-alien team in stunned silence. Around them, the repository's technology hummed with power that could reshape the fundamental nature of reality. Dr. Carter looked at Captain Murphy, then at the alien representatives who had become unexpected allies. "Well," Murphy said with a characteristic stubbornness that had carried humanity through countless impossible situations, "I guess we've never been ones to back down from a fight, even against impossible odds." Carter nodded, already beginning to understand the technology her future self had left behind. "Especially against impossible odds," she agreed. The prospect of fighting enemies that existed outside time itself should have been terrifying. But she felt the same fierce determination that had driven humanity to reach for the stars. Commander Vextar drew his weapon, not in threat but in salute. "If we're going to fight gods of time, we fight together." As the expedition prepared to return to their respective worlds with a universe-changing discovery, none of them noticed the subtle distortions beginning to appear at the edge of their sensors. The Time Eaters had indeed noticed, and the battle for existence itself was about to begin. But for the first time in cosmic history, they would face an enemy that could remember their victories, even after they had been erased from time.